The evening, my home security system beeped with an alert. I was stretched out on my brother Marcus's couch, a piece of pizza in one hand, the NBA playoffs playing on the TV. I'm Nathan Carter, a 38-year-old software architect, and my modern single-story house at 47 Crestwood Lane in Crestwood Heights was my sanctuary after hacking out code for a biotech startup that Tuesday. In April, I'd left my home in the care of my plumber Greg, who was turning off my water for 2 days to repair rusted pipes underneath my foundation. No big deal. I'd be staying at Marcus's downtown loft until I was finished. I'd set up my motion detectors, locked myself up, and drove off in my Tesla, convinced I had everything locked down tight. Then, at 9:30 p.m., my phone buzz motion detected at my front door. I pulled out the app and my jaw dropped. Sitting there on my porch was my neighbor Linda Matthews in nothing but a towel, her peroxide blonde hair dripping wet, pounding on my door like she was trying out for a horror flick. "Nathan, open this door. I know you're home. What did you do to the water? Turn it back on?" Her voice was so shrill it crackled through my phone speaker. Marcus peeked over my shoulder. "Is that your HOA lady in a towel?" I grabbed my keys. "Something's seriously wrong. I got to break down my door before she gets over there." Linda had moved 6 months after I purchased my house 3 years prior to this. A woman in her early 60s. She styled her hair in a gravity-defying updo and clawed her way onto the Crestwood Heights HOA board. Within weeks from the beginning, she'd get under my skin, dropping backhanded compliments on how surprising it was that I could pay for the neighborhood, or asking if I was an athlete of some sort when I told her I wrote software. Her smile never reached her eyes, as if she couldn't calculate it. I kept my lawn spotless to prevent HOA fines, but Linda always managed to find something to nitpick me trash cans in view from the street. They weren't a diseased tree, it was okay, or legal guest parking. She found suspicious, I remained polite but distant, dodging her as best I could. Marcus had told me about HOAs. "You're paying fees to be harassed in your own home," he'd said that night. Shaking his head, I shrugged it off, defending the neighborhood's upkeep and property values. But as we sped toward my house, Linda's scream still echoing through my security app. I knew this was no ordinary neighbor spat. We pulled into my driveway in 15 minutes. Marcus flooring it. Linda was still banging on my door with fists that shouldn't be that strong. "I'm on the HOA board. This is harassment." She screamed, her towel slipping as a black man in an upscale suburb. I'd learned to keep my cool and stiffen moment. It wasn't smart. It was survival. "Linda," I called, voice calm as we reached "What's the matter?" She spun around, holding her towel suds still stuck in her hairline. She spat, pointing as if I had committed a crime. "What did you do to the water?" "Turn it back on?" "I kept my distance. My water's off for plumbing." "Repairs scheduled?" "Work," her eyes blazed. "You can't shut off water without HOA approval." I was in the shower. I frowned. "Why would my water impact your shower?" A flicker crossed her face. Panic, quickly replaced by rage. "The whole street's out," she stammered. The pressure just stopped. I moved closer, voice calm but sharp. "That's strange because the utility company only shut my house." "Nobody else's." Her eyes flicked away, her phone shaking in her hand. "Who are you phoning, Linda?" I asked, fear rising in my stomach. "The police," she announced. "You're harassing me, cutting off my water." "This is discrimination." Marcus let out a bark of laughter. "You're on his porch half-naked yelling, and you're calling the police." I raised my hand to quiet him, pulling out my phone to document Linda. "You're telling me your water stopped with mine. That's not possible unless your house is connected with my water line." She put on a look of stone. "That's absurd. The HOA would never." She was coming apart. Then she spoke into her phone. "Yes, 911. I need police at 47 Crestwood Lane. My neighbor's cut off my utilities and is threatening me." I held up my phone. "I'm recording Linda. The police can see who's on, whose property." Her lips curled. "You can't record me. Invasion of privacy. You're on my land making false claims." I shot back sirens, wailed in the distance. Linda straightened smoke. "We'll see what the cops say." The security footage I pulled up while waiting showed Linda trying to sneak into my backyard to access the water valve, Stopped by a locked gate, 2 patrol vehicles rolled up. Officers Daniels and Lopez getting out, eyeing the scene. Me and Marcus calm, and Linda towel-clad. And angry, what's going on? Lopez asked Linda, went off in this man. Cut off my water to harass me. I'm on the hoe board, and he's gunning for me. Daniels turned to me. Sir, I explained the planned plumbing work, then hit her with the bombshell. Somehow my water shut off. Cut off her water, which implies her house is hooked up illegally to my line. I played the video of her backyard attempt and audio where she avoided my questions. Linda lost it. He knew I was in need of water and did this to shame me. It's a hate crime. Lopez raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, you're saying your neighbor must provide your water without having a utility account? Linda's face went red. The HOA has a deal? It's been like that forever. They're at wash or slip. Daniels pressed, what deal? Linda gripped her towel and stepped back. I have to get dressed. Lopez stood in her way. We deserve answers first, but she ran off over my lawn to her house. Marcus grumbled. She's fleeing. I smiled. I've got her on tape the next morning at Marcus's house. I phoned the water company after 3 transfers. A rep named Carla told me my suspicions were correct. Your water usage is twice that of a single occupant should have. There is no account for 49 Crestwood Lane. Their last one shut 3 years ago with a note on an HOA utility arrangement. My pulse spiked. When was it closed? 3 months prior to your purchase of your house? She said I lodged a complaint and asked for my billing history. Then I called Greg, who'd discovered an unauthorized pipe redirecting water to Linda's home. It's professional. Not up the code, he said. I've got photos and a write-up. I smiled. You're a lifesaver. Marcus, flipping pancakes, shook his head. She's been taking your water for 3 years, and the HOA installed it. What else are they concealing back home? I saw Linda looking through her blinds. She ducked when she saw me. I pored over my HOA documents and discovered nothing on shared utilities, only regulations on tampering. My closing papers verified my house had separate hookups. At noon, my doorbell rang. It was Walter Green, the HOA president, a 70-something retiree with a constantly sour face. Nathan, regarding last night's ruckus, he started too mannerly. I asked him in my reports prepared, I am not bewildered. Walter, Linda's home is attached to my water supply, and I've been subsidizing her for 3 years. He replied, it's an historic arrangement. The previous owner permitted it, and we kept it. I leaned an arrangement never made known to me, costing me thousands and violating city regulations. Was this proffered to other homeowners, or Linda's? His silence said 1,000 words. I've done the math. $3,800 in overcharges, I said, sliding over my documents. I want to be reimbursed the illegal line cut and an HOA confession. This was not right. Or I'm reporting the city inspector utility fraud, and my attorney Walter stood agitated. You're blowing this out of proportion, am I? I asked, voice I see, or is there another reason I'm being asked to pay for her water? He left without saying a word. By Thursday, Greg completed my repairs, and cutting Linda's line, he took me to the T-junction, redirecting my water that was put in 5 years ago, not included in my home's original plumbing high-tech. He explained, providing me with a technical report that afternoon. Detective Harris phoned. We have a warrant to search Linda's property. Using your evidence, be there in an hour. I agreed, and Marcus accompanied me. Neighbors congregated, feigning not to look as police, and a utility inspector made their way to Linda's door. No response after protocol. They forced it open, pulling gasps within. They discovered Linda barricaded in her bathroom, surrounded by pots, buckets, and a filled bathtub hoarding water. This is HOA business, she yelled, refusing to open the door, threatening to call City Hall. They coaxed her out, finding her clutching her phone, ranting about persecution. The inspector verified the illegal connection in her basement, done professionally but unpermitted. Linda was cuffed, still in a bathrobe, and lost it when she spotted me. This is your fault, she screamed. You people always demand special treatment. This was my neighborhood first. Harris quieted her. That's enough. As they escorted her to the cruiser, she ranted. I kept this place respectable for 15 years. Then they let anybody with money and neighbors filmed, and I stood tall, feeling every eyeball on me. Harris apologized, asking for a statement downtown. Linda's charged with utility theft, false police report, and perhaps more. Once we review HOA finances, neighbors swarmed me. How long was she stealing? Asked Susan from across the street. Since prior to my arrival, I said an HOA transaction. Walter's wife Ellen approached, mortified. Walter never said to me, "I'm so sorry." I nodded skeptically. The depth of the conspiracy was unknown. Marcus laughed as we walked inside. Suburban drama man stealing your water, then crying victim. I smiled, but the wait remained. The following week. The utility sent a $4,750 refund and a comment regarding examining similar arrangements in Crestwood Heights. That night, Maria Lopez, a member of the HOA's design committee, arrived with a folder of records highlighted costs for phony community water infrastructure, selective fees for new homeowners, and fee waivers for board members. Patricia's not alone. Maria stated 3 other board members have deals, discounted, fees, private use of funds. I remained silent too long. She turned after an HOA meeting where Walter planned to shut me up with a settlement and NDA. I reviewed the documents and forwarded them to my attorney who'd sued the HOA neighbors, started reporting their own tales of discriminatory fines and selective regulations. By Wednesday, Channel 5 ambushed me after the run. "Did you find HOA discrimination?" the reporter asked. I uncovered an illegal water hookup costing me thousands. Part of a pattern proving favoritism to certain members, I told her. Was it racial? She pressed. I was required to pay without question. Why? Asked the HOA. Walter resigned that day due to health issues, followed by 2 board members. A Saturday AOE meeting attracted more than 100 residents. Interim chair David Park, a quiet professor, invited city and utility reps. We discovered misused funds, selective rule enforcement, and increased fees for minorities and young families. I spoke briefly. I moved here for a fair community. I pay my dues, follow rules, and expect the same from everyone. The crowd cheered. Linda's house went up for Celeste to move to Florida, awaiting trial for utility theft, false reporting, and fund misappropriation. Her plea deal, mint community service and restitution. The new HOA board, with David as president, Maria as treasurer, and me as outreach coordinator, mirrored our diversity. The utilities probe uncovered similar schemes. Citywide, prompting an HOA audit at a barbecue. I threw months later. Neighbors laughed, children played, and David broke news of a community garden. I suggested Susan's husband, Carl, observed increasing property values as the HO is overhaul. David whispered, regarding Linda's house, failing inspection, unpermitted renovations, faulty wiring, and illegal rental hypocrisy. Carl remarked. I smiled. A text from Harris stated Linda's request for fewer service hours was rejected. 500 hours. Now I stashed my phone, observing my new neighbors. A young couple who'd purchased Linda's house joined the party. Maria introduced me to a potential buyer, Aisha Thompson, who'd heard of the water thief saga. "This place has changed," I told her, sweeping my arm over the crowd we faced. The truth head on, as Marcus flipped burgers he toasted to clear waters. Linda thought she could siphon my water and my dignity, but she'd unleashed a flood of truth, washing away her power and building a real community. Crestwood Heights wasn't just my home. No, what was ours